I'm Leah, and I'll be talking about Ruta Sepetys' Between Shades of Grey, which was published in 2011. The book is about a 15-year-old Lithuanian girl. Her name is Lena, and at the start of the story, she and her family get arrested and then taken to Siberia by the Soviet Union. The Soviets are taking people at this time because they are trying to take over the Baltic states. And they're trying to remove anyone that may try to resist them, try to put up a fight, and prevent them from achieving their goal of expanding. The start of the story, I like books that start with maps. You can see their travels here, so they start over here in Lithuania, and then they end up traveling by cattle car on the trains across through here, and then up further into Siberia after their first labor camp. So I wanted to read to you guys the part about when they're first taken from their home. They are first taken in trucks to a train station, and they are loaded into the cattle cars. And here's some of what was written there. We reached the train platform. The chaos was palpable. Families were being separated. Children screamed, and mothers pleaded. 2 officers pulled a man away. His wife would not let go and was dragged for several feet before being kicked away. "Mother, is Papa here?" asked Jonas, still clutching her coat. I wondered the same thing. When and where had the Soviets dragged my father away? Was it on his way to work, or maybe at the newspaper stand during his lunch hour? I looked at the masses of people on the train platform. They were elderly people. Lithuania cherished its elders, and here they were, being herded like animals. "Davai!" An NKVD officer grabbed Jonas by the shoulders and began to drag him away. "No!" screamed Mother. They were taking Jonas, my beautiful, sweet brother, who shooed bugs out of the house instead of stepping on them, who gave his ruler to splint a crotchety old man's leg. "Mama! Lena!" he cried, flailing his arms. "Stop!" I screamed, tearing after them. Mother grabbed the officer and began speaking in Russian, pure, fluent Russian. He stopped and listened. She lowered her voice and spoke calmly. I couldn't understand a word. The officer jerked Jonas toward him. I grabbed onto his other arm. His body began to vibrate as sobs racked his shoulders. A big wet spot appeared on the front of his trousers. He hung his head and cried. Mother pulled a bundle of rubles from her pocket and exposed it slightly to the officer. He reached for it, and then said something to Mother, motioning with his head. Her hand flew up and ripped the amber pendant right from her neck and pressed it into the NKVD's hand. He didn't seem to be satisfied. Mother continued to speak in Russian and pulled a pocket watch from her coat. I knew that watch. It was her father's, and had his name engraved in the soft gold on the back. The officer snatched the watch, let go of Jonas, and started yelling at the people next to us. Have you ever wondered what a human life is worth? That morning, my brother's was worth a pocket watch. So one of the things that I really enjoyed about this novel, which I think was shown in that segment, is that she writes very simply, and yet it's also very poetic. It shows good imagery and emotion, and really does a good job of conveying the atrocities that were committed to these people. And it's written actually at a very low Lexile level. I think when I looked it up it was around the 3rd grade level. But the content is written for readers of a higher age level, I'd say maybe middle school range, even down potentially to like 5th or 6th grade would be fine. But because it's written at this low Lexile, it would be great for readers who are struggling, who maybe aren't quite at that 8th grade reading level or middle school reading level, and they would be able to even recommend this book to some of their peers after reading it, and their peers wouldn't think anything of it being written at a lower level or being written for younger kids. It's very adaptable in that way for struggling readers. A second reason that I thought that this was a really good book is it kind of covers a piece of history that often gets forgotten. It's set in 1941, so right around the time of World War II. So with World War II and the Holocaust, we often don't hear about what was happening in the Soviet Union at that time. We don't go into that in great detail. And it talks about the labor camps, which are very comparable to what was happening in the Holocaust, maybe not to that extent, but still just awful things that were happening to these people. And it could be good to compare with students who are reading it, the Holocaust to what was happening in the Soviet Union at this time, to the people from the Baltic states. A third reason that I really enjoyed it, I kind of mentioned already her imagery and her use of descriptive language, but also Lena, the main character, is an artist, and she talks about her favorite artworks and kind of describes in her mind as she's drawing very poetically and artistically the scenes that are happening around her, whether it's something beautiful or something terrible that is happening. So I really enjoyed this. I highly recommend it. Please let me know if you have any questions.